Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott, and we're counting down to my top 30 of all time manga slash manhwa. In this video, we're actually going to be counting down numbers 30 all the way through 21, and if my math is correct, the second video numbers 20 all the way through 11, and our last video is going to be numbers 10 through 1. So in this video, this is my top 30 of all time. Now I do want to give just a couple warnings beforehand. One is, this is just an opinion. I am not trying to purposely offend anyone, as when I did this in years prior, some people were just genuinely offended that I did not have things in my top 10. So it could be that I just have not read the series. It could be that it just wasn't for me. And another tidbit I just want to give a heads up on is, just because I think something's perfect at 10 doesn't mean that masterpiece is part of my top 30. There is some phenomenal series out there that I think, yes, it's a 10, it's a masterpiece, I think it's absolutely wonderful, but it's not something I would maybe gravitate towards or incline to be in my top 30. Maybe it's in my top 40 or 50. Next year we'll do a video doing 40 or 50, but this year I thought, let's just do the 3 videos and see how we go. Last tidbit, you might be like, well, Scott, this was in your top 10 3 years ago. I remember this was in your 2 years ago, this was in your top 10 or top 20. How come it might not be in this one? Well, what I did with this is I actually don't fully remember just off the top of my head what I had in those videos, and I chose not to look those up. What I did was I went ahead and I looked through this entire collection. I started writing down series. I'm like, oh, I love this series. Oh, there's another one. Oh, I really love this one. And I made this giant list of things I have read, and then I forced myself to chronologically order my favorite and then go all the way to 30, and it was a hard elimination. It was really hard. There's so many just wonderful series. It is a good time to be a manga reader slash manhwa reader. It's a good time to be a collector. Another thing with this, just a heads up, is almost everything I read is physical. So if there is digital and it does not have an English release, most likely I have not read it. I really want to read Kingdom. Thank God we now have a physical release announcement for that in English. I really want to read Billy Bat. I have not read those because we don't have official English translation. So with that, let's go ahead, all those caveats. And last, I want to say, hey, comments below, share with me, what do you think is deserving? I would love to also hear your thoughts on, hey, Scott, I think this might be in your top 20 or top 10. But I would love to know, what are some of your favorite manga of all time? So let's go ahead and just have fun with this video together, starting with number 30. Coming in at number 30, this one has fallen on the list because I believe this was in my top 10 originally, which actually frustrated a lot of people because they didn't feel like it should be in there, and it dropped some more. I think 2 years ago it was 10 through 20. Now this has fallen to number 30, and I'll explain why, but this is My Hero Academia. Now, there is some nostalgia with this. This was actually the manga that actually got me into collecting in the first place. During COVID, looking for new things to do, and I started watching anime again. I hadn't been watching anime in so long, probably almost 10 years. And I was like, hey, let's go see what's out there. And I got so sucked into My Hero Academia to the point where, like, I got to know what happens next. Then I went and I collected the manga, and I absolutely loved reading this series. So I actually haven't finished the series. I'm only up to volume 39. Volume 40 just got released. Hopefully they'll ship to me soon. And it ends with 42 volumes, and I just did not like, as we're going towards the end, some of it felt a little dragged out, and it didn't just have me at the edge of my seat as some of the earlier volumes did. During the first 20 or even 25, there's times that I was at the edge of my seat, felt my gut wrench. I got emotions, crying, tears on a couple of scenes. But towards the end, I wish the author just took more pain to consequences. Sometimes I think maybe some of the heroes should not have survived, and maybe the villain should have got their upper hand in that situation, instead of all of a sudden the villain having a change of heart and not doing something that they should have. But hey, that is good that we won that villain over, but to win everybody over, I'm just like, So I haven't finished it. I heard it had a safe ending, but I thank you so much for no spoilers. So because of that, it's not as my favorite anymore, but because of that nostalgia, because this is what got me hooked, and I really do love the superheroes. I think for a superhero series, this is probably the best thing out there, especially compared to American comics. I really, really enjoy My Hero Academia. Coming in at number 29 is shoujo series Honey Lemon Soda. Now, this series was actually made my top 10 and most unrated series of all time because I'm surprised that this isn't rated better. But my guess with now the anime out that hopefully it'll go below that top 1000 from my anime list. But this is just a really good shoujo series with high school antics. But what I appreciated the most was following the main character here, where she was bullied and just people were just mean to her in junior high. And I felt I could relate to that. Just junior high was terrible for me. My parents got divorced, we were dirt poor, and I really struggled at junior high. Plus you have all the just different body changes and social cues and your friends reset, and junior high was just really hard for me. And then the idea of going into high school, and for this girl, she was bullied so much that she had to change and go to a different school for high school. Well, now going in, she's kind of like in her shell, trying to protect herself, and then she ends up meeting this boy, and this boy is kind of helping her along the way, being able to stand up for herself, and then some other friends come alongside her and help her see that you can have friends. There are good people out there. And now what's cool is, as I continue to read the series, I think we're on volume 8 now, 7 or 8, is now she's kind of helping him, this delinquent kid, and helping with the honey, lemon hair, trying to help him be a better person of himself. So where she was picking him up, now she's picking him up, and I've just really enjoyed it so far. Now there is over 20 volumes out, so maybe later on it might drop or even get better, but I'm really loving this series. This is a phenomenal shoujo series. Highly recommend Honey Lemon Soda. Coming in at number 28 is one of my favorite just laugh out loud series, and that is Spy X Family. So this was actually harder because I almost wanted to lower on my list, but it takes a while for the volumes to come out because it's not a regular schedule, which is fine. But Spy X Family, there's just so many times I've just laughed out loud, almost like belly laughing. It was just the antics going on with the main character being a spy, being a telepath where she can read thoughts, and then for the mom to be an assassin, and they all don't know which each other person can do. So just so many laugh out loud moments. Even with the latest volume, I'm still enjoying it. This has just been just a fun series. So if you're looking for something that has a little bit of action, but just more of something as funny, a cozy read, I love and recommend Spy X Family. Is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. This is the manga, not the novel. We have a long ways to go for the manga to caught up with the novel, but this series was just fun. We had a review for the series. I just have fun anytime I read this. As this ridiculousness of someone dying, and then through dying they get reincarnated as the worst, weakest monster possible, a slime, but somehow he's able to make it, and it's just, there's times I'm laughing out loud, there's fun action, the lore and the world building behind what's going on is great as well. I love the dragon. Don't want to spoil anything there, but it's just fun. So if you want more takes on this, I did a video for that, but this is just a fun series. So if you're looking just for fun, a little bit of a popcorn read, but still entertaining, I thoroughly enjoyed That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Shadow House. Now, Shadow House has been a strong mystery series. Now, this also, I think we're close to 20 volumes, but we only have, I think, the first 8 here in America. But now the first volume, I almost was like, this is okay. But then the second, third volume, it just completely hooked me. Just the mysteries of what's going on in this house. So you have this girl here that she's supposed to be a doll for this shadow, and she's kind of like the doll's just supposed to do whatever it is that the shadow requests, and she's supposed to act and mimic the shadow as much as she can, and almost she's considered her face because shadows don't have a face. So if the shadow's smiling, she should be able to be connected enough that she is smiling. There's this idea that some shadows with their companion here, their dolls, don't make it. And then there's this bigger mystery on what is happening in this grandfather's house, this huge house that all kids are in. They're trying to survive, and then they want to make it to the second level and then become adults. It's really gripping. This is a phenomenal story. I don't hear too many people talking about, but man, I really enjoy Shadow House. Probably my favorite one-shot series, so it only takes one volume. This is from the same author that gave us Chainsaw Man, but that is Goodbye Eerie. Man, I almost struggle to share anything about this because I don't want to spoil it, but you have a boy who he ends up having a loss in his life. He ends up making a film, and then it does not turn out so well, and then he ends up meeting this girl and they have a love for movies together. But man, I really enjoyed this. It really made you think, and for a one-shot, I think this is the best bang for your buck, but this is probably by far my favorite I've absolutely ever read. It is nothing like Chainsaw Man whatsoever, but it is just such a phenomenal story. It just really makes you think, has some laughter-ish moments in there, but I really, really enjoy this. I don't want to spoil it, and you can get this on the Viz app. I mean, pay the $1.99, pay the $2 for a month, and you can read the whole thing within an hour or so. But really, really enjoyed it. This just impacted me so well. I don't want to spoil things because it's a one-shot, but Goodbye Eerie, highly recommend. Is Golden Kamuy. This series is complete and done, and wow, this series I also did a review on when it wasn't towards the end. But man, this series just has it all. There's laugh out loud moments. There's a cooking manga. It has action sequences. This just has it all. Definitely not for kids with that lovely parental discretion advice, but I really, really enjoyed Golden Kamuy. And the more I read it, it had a satisfying conclusion. Not as much manga it feels like at times, where it has such a great story, and then at the end, you know, the ending is just a whimper, like, ugh. But this had me on my edge of my seat. There was a few moments where we hit a bit of a lull period. I think for about 4 volumes I was getting a little bored, and then it really ramped and picked up again, and it just never stopped. So if you're looking for a good manga that has a little bit of everything into it, you're following this main character here in around early 1900s in Japan, and then he ends up meeting this girl, and then they end up working together to find this gold. So the whole, it's just this treasure hunt type of manga, and then there's other people trying to find the treasure as well. The artwork is fantastic. I really do. And again, there's a review for this if you want to check out more of my thoughts on Golden Kamuy. And that is Don't Call It Mystery. This is a shoujo, or I would say josei series, probably more towards the josei. It says 15 plus on it, but I don't think it's that bad. But I really enjoyed this one. Now, I do want to caution, it is a bit wordy. So if you're okay with a lot of words, I think it might be for you. But it is very wordy. So these, even though it's a 2-in-1, it does take me a lot longer to read this than some of my other ones. But I love this detective series, though. This main character here, he actually wants to be a teacher, and he's in school, and he just keeps following these situations where he's having to solve crimes. And then further on, now the police are asking him for help, even though he really doesn't want to. There's this overarching series, and it's fun as you're trying to figure out the mystery as well. He says things that he should not say. He has a very, very strong intellect. He has a strong emotional intelligence on knowing what to be said, but his timing isn't usually the best, and people are wondering when he's going to stop talking, hence a lot of dialogue. But man, phenomenal series, and we're almost fully caught up with Japan. I think the next one, the 13 and 14 that's going to come out, so you'll be just as caught up. It's going to be a while before we get more, so, but wow, highly recommend. You're really going to enjoy Don't Call It Mystery. Now, this author also did another series that's probably more popular, but I kind of like this one better. I know that sounds terrible, but this one we're only at, I think, volume 7 right now, and that is Dia Dark. This is a laugh out loud dark fantasy / sci-fi series. Definitely not for kids, but man, the story about this main character here, it's known that if someone can collect his bones, that any of their wish can come true. So there's this order here. He's part of this sorry, I'm thinking through the magic system, just really cool with darkness and living in darkness. Things are darker than dark. Their ship is just absolutely adorable, kind of like this dog. Wow, I'm just so sucked in. So if you like dark humor, there's times I feel like I'm laughing even though I shouldn't. Even his main name when you see his flashbacks in school is Meatball Spaghetti. It's just so funny. Again, not for kids, especially because of the language, but very, very funny, very entertaining, and just the world building in this fantasy sci-fi structures are going around trying to beat the Sparkle Order, and man, the Sparkle thing, that's funny too. I've really enjoyed Dia Dark, and you know what? I believe we even got a box set for it for at least the first 4 volumes. So, man, I wish we had bigger trim for this, like we did for Doro di Doro, but I don't know why. But I'm really enjoying Dia Dark. This was in my top 10, but it's fallen a bit, and part of it is for some reason I did not feel as strong to keep reading the series, even though I'm sure as soon as I get back to it, I'm going to fall in love with it again. But that is Blue Period. And this is just about the world of art. And what's neat about this is you get to learn about art, even if it was something you weren't interested in before. I actually knew very little about art itself. And this just got me hooked and wanting to know more, as well as I'm a sucker when it comes to series about chasing your dreams. So Miyuguchi here, he has this dream where he ends up discovering, being forced to do this artwork project that he just ends up loving the work of art, and then just seeing him chase that dream, working so hard to spend time on it and then go to a university is just, it's so good. It's so strong that even the characters around him, seeing them work hard, even going to after school functions where in cram school, just to be a better artist and be able to continue to grow. I just love watching his growth. It's just someone you want to cheer on as he chases his dreams to be an artist. I think it's all important that we all have dreams that we want to chase, and this just really inspired me to chase my dreams. And there's so many just good little life lessons and nuggets spread throughout the entire series. So that's all I have for you for my go ahead counting. So again, I'd love to know in the comments below, what are your favorite of all time? Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you as we count down